Going back to the deal where you were talking about going to a higher rib too, sometimes that changes your length of pull because now your head's more up. You're not into the gun, so we may shorten it a little bit.
Remember we tried that once before?
Too short last time.
Yeah.
I was full believer, and I said go, and I said oh no.
Yeah.
So now we're in between, and Bill's got me in a happy spot.
I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been in the customs part of it for 19 years. So, I mean, really, there was the Spring Grand one year. I think we did somewhere around 56 fittings in 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So in your opinion, is it better for people to come to Lincoln, or is it better for them to come to the shoots? I mean, where do you think they get the best experience, or it's easiest for you to fit that in?
Well,
Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Like, share, and subscribe. This podcast is sponsored by the following. Remington, made with pride in the USA. Iconic American impact. Wenig Custom Gun Stocks. Head on down for your custom fitting. Remember, winners shoot Wenig. Shot Tracker. Like having a coach on your barrel. For more info, go to takeaimtech.com. Life is too short to miss. RM Shooting Clinics, helping shooters from coast to coast. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. Zach Nannini at Northwestern Mutual. Trusted advice from someone you know. We believe in putting people first. Other supporters for Trap Talk. The Nevada State Trapshooting Association. Don't miss their 75th annual state shoot this October in Las Vegas. The NSTA puts on some great shoots, and they're going big for this year's state. Go to nvtrap.com to check out their program and all other shoots as well.
Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. I'm Zach Nannini, your host, and I've got my co-host, Richard Marshall Jr.
Hello.
And we are live at the Wenig building at the Grand with Bill England.
hello, fellas.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. What? We got one more day left of the Grand.
Yep.
So it's been a busy week, busy 2 weeks actually. And like Zach said, we're in the Wenig building with Bill. He's one of the stock fitters here that travels over the road.
Your role is the lead stock fitter, right,
Yeah,
Bill?
lead custom fitter.
He's the man, lead custom fitter. So today we figured we'd ask Bill some questions and go through what it takes to get a custom stock, what the process is. I know we did Bobby Chambers, but that was more speaking about his shooting ability.
Yep.
And Bill is the guy with his hands on the wood and the Bondo all day long, making it happen. So to get started, Bill, when someone comes in, where do they start with you? What's the first thing they do? And kind of walk us through the process.
Well, the first thing I have them do whenever they come in is we have them mount their current gun just so I get a feel for where they're at with what they're currently shooting and see where their issues, the things that we need to change and everything like that, and kind of go from there. And that's kind of how we kind of get that started out. And then from that point, we put on a pattern stock, which is just a raw piece of wood that we have that we have already pre-fit usually.
Yep.
Try to, because it makes it a little quicker when you do it that way. And then fit them up onto the receiver and get a pad cut to length of pull. And then from there, I typically like to start with the grip area, because the grip area is kind of one of the more important parts of that whole aspect of the fitting, in my opinion.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
that's your driving point of your
Yep.
stock. So we want to get that grip as close as we can, which we'll fine tune throughout the whole deal, but try to get that started out there and start working our way back.
Yeah, and we were in here today. Joe Charnago was getting his grip done. He's doing a stock right now. Shelby Skaggs was doing one, and you're actually making a Bondo stock for me right now. And And in going through that process, I put my hand on the stock, like you said, a blank, not a pretty piece of wood, but got it just something to work,
Plain
right?
wood.
Yeah.
And then Bill went in there with a pencil and he went around my fingers and he's seen the pressure points on my hand, and then you start going to it with rasp file, all that stuff,
Right.
and kind of refining it. How many times does it usually take with someone grabbing it for you to get it right when you're working on that?
It varies from each person. Some people, like I had a fitting yesterday. He had a fitting done before. I looked at his current gun. He had a fitting done on a Kohler, or a Krieghoff, and he was doing a fitting on a Kohler. I kind of looked at the one he currently had, kind of got a little bit of feel of it, and then he went off to go shoot. He left his Kohler here, so I worked on it, got it real close, and really one and done on him.
Easy.
Where sometimes other
Takes
people,
a little bit.
they've never had a custom fitting done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and those people are a little more difficult because they don't know what it's supposed to feel like.
Well, and Zach occasionally, a couple stocks he's had done, it takes him a little bit sometimes. We help
it does.
him.
It does.
Well, and that's one thing I know. Let's go on the aspect of the Bondo part of it, because I know I get a lot of classes I teach. A lot of students always ask, well, what's it entail? And I said, when I say Bondo, they're kind of taken back. But I
Yeah.
said the nice thing about Bondo is you put it on, you sand
File
it
it
off,
off,
file
sand it
it, and then
off.
wait. Need to add a little bit more.
Yep.
So you can. It's rather than a nice piece of wood like this here. Once you cut it in,
Right.
it's cut in.
Well, and
You know.
that's the other thing too, which I never had really a part of it, but knew a little bit about it from working with these guys. The
Yep.
guys that I started with, from the old Fajan. They would do a tri-stock that everything was adjustable on it. Get that as close as they could.
Yep.
And then what they would do would carve the receiver area, leave the back square, start pencil lining everything out,
Okay.
and then filing it down.
Wow.
And then if you took too much off, well,
You ain't going back
Try to find
on.
another customer to sell that to.
right? So, the way we do it now with the Bondo and all that makes it a lot easier because yes, you can take it off, put it back on till you
Yep.
get it right.
And then once you get it right, then you go in with the duplicator.
Right.
And pick out your, as you can see, folks, here we have a ton of beautiful blanks here, but you can then put that in the duplicator, duplicate that. Same thing with a forend if you want to do something different. I know Wenig offers even some different checkering options.
Yeah.
I don't use a checkering though, never have. But some people like to even put their initials on them and different
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's it can be duplicated.
Everything can be customized.
Yep.
Really can. You can customize a lot of things on them.
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Zach Nannini here, and I'd like to thank our show sponsor, Remington. And today, I would like to go into what shells I use when I'm training and when I'm shooting tournaments. First of all, we start with the gun club. This is a great shell. I shoot an 1145 ounce and 1/8, and this is what I shoot for singles and both shots of doubles. The only reason I don't shoot this in tournaments is because I like a little bit of a harder shot, a little bit of a harder break, but it works great, and it's the same speed as this STS shell. So this STS shell, a little bit harder shot, figure 8 wad column, smokes the targets a little bit harder. Also, I shoot for singles and doubles, both shots. And then when I go to the back fence and I want to put the smoke on them, I bring out the Nitro 27, ounce and 1/8, 7.5. It's a 1235 shell, blast the targets, it works really well. I hope these shells work for you, and I want to thank Remington for supporting Trap Talk.
So, in your opinion, is it better for people to come to Lincoln, or is it better for them to come to the shoots? Where do you think they get the best experience, or it's easiest for you to fit that in?
Well, I really think at the shoots is a good place because really, if you come in early enough, you get a whole week, or like here at the Grand or the Spring Grand, you've got 2 weeks really.
Yeah.
You can really adjust and dial in on it.
That's
Now, when we do it at the shop, we do it a few different ways. We can build the pattern and get it close, take them out, shoot it on the pattern board, throw some targets, and if they want to take it and still shoot it a little bit, to get a feel for it, maybe catch us at a shoot to do some fine tweaking down the road, they can do that as well. Or they can actually do it and run it that day too. So there's definitely different options.
Different option. And I personally, I like to see them come to like the Grand,
shoot.
the Spring Grand. I know there's some other shoots. You got World Skeet Shoot,
Yes.
National Sporting Clays, you know, because I feel that at those you can get more shooting in
Oh yeah.
than just, you know, you come to Lincoln, Missouri, which a lot of people do, but you come to Lincoln, Missouri, get it done, you shoot a little bit, okay, take it home, and then you might have to come back. Where it's great,
Yeah.
but for someone like myself, I'll do one here, then I can just take it right out here on the practice field,
Right.
shoot, boom, and then you're done.
Yeah.
No back and forth from home and stuff. But
I think the closer you are between getting it done and going to the range and then being able to come back and get it moved on, because every time we do something, I feel like we do something, you shoot it a couple boxes, and then I'm coming back to Bill and saying, Bill, this is what I felt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
the cool thing with working with Bill is if I tell him what I'm feeling, he knows what he has to do with that stock. So I'm like, hey, Bill, it's hit me a little bit here in the face, or hey, Bill, you know, it's a little slow or it's a little fast. And then he starts working on, you know, pitch angle, you know, comb height, all these other things. But but if you're, you know, if you're not shooting targets, it's hard to know, because sometimes it feels really, really good in your hands, but then it doesn't necessarily do what you want it to do out there.
Absolutely.
And I've experienced that. I've had them where it's like, man, this is going to be the greatest stock in the world. And I'm going out there and I'm not shooting even like Zactanini. I'm shooting like, I don't even know. I'm like shooting 12s. And I'm like, oh, this ain't good. You know?
And you know, and the other thing too is we get customers that come in, and when we're doing them in the shop or here, you know, when we got them mounting it up in here versus mounting a gun up and shooting it at a pattern board versus mounting at actual targets. A lot of times we see 3 different mounts too till they actually get out there and shoot
the
it.
competition.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you mount it in the shop, I'm just going to mount it up and throw it up. They don't really get into their game stance.
Yep, properly mounting the gun.
Exactly.
The competition
and it's even
mode.
the same way on the pattern board. Yeah, I'm shooting a pattern board, but it's not a moving target either. So it's still not the same as putting them out and shooting actual targets.
Yes, and
So-
I mean, I've had that where I've had a pattern stock, I put it up and I line up on the board and I shoot it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And then you go move, and the moving aspect of it changes everything. That dynamic is so important.
Yes.
And, you know, obviously you're a master at it. How many stocks fittings have you personally put your hands on since you've been at?
I knew he was going to say.
There's no way I could tell you how many I've done. I mean,
Thousands, right?
You know, a bunch. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been in the customs part of it for 19 years. So, I mean, really, there was the Spring Grand one year. I think we did somewhere around 56 fittings in 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot.
mean,
That's a lot of wood.
Yes. Yes.
Now-
a lot of Bondo.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was
A lot
saying.
of
A lot of Bondo.
Now, do you do? I know you can do a stock without doing a pattern stock. Mm-hmm. You know, but I always recommend to my students and customers to do the pattern stock.
You know, and that's the thing too, is we'll have people come in and they want us to check their fit, or they want to buy one of our pre-finished stocks that are already off the shelf. We'll put it on the gun and have them mounted up, and you know, we could just be, you know, sell stocks. You know, we'd say, all right, yeah, that's close enough or whatever, but I'm not here to sell stocks. I'm here to make a stock fit a person.
Custom stock.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we've got that option too, where you could do a finished stock and take it and go. But I really want to be sure that it's right for you before we send you out there with it, because I don't want to send you out with a stock that's close. I want a stock that fits you perfect.
So I've heard of different models that you guys have that are like on the shelf out here. Like you have like the New American.
Yes.
I've heard the Harlan Campbell 1, the Harlan Campbell 2. How many variations of stocks do you have on hand roughly, if you could guess?
Really, that's the 3. I mean, really, we're down to actually the 2. The first Harlan Campbell we don't use really anymore at all.
So an HC2 or a New American are kind of your...
HC2 and New American are the go-tos. And then that's kind of, when you mount your stock up, that also gives me an idea where to start at with the custom fitting as well.
And then from there, we get into, okay, we're going to take this new American and we're going to put more twist on it. We're going to put more toe on it. We're going to raise it up. We're going to move it around.
Yeah.
Customize it
and
person.
tailor. But everyone's so different. I mean, obviously,
Absolutely.
Ricky's a little bigger and different in the shoulders than I am. So Slightly, you know, I'm working on it.
You're eating your way to AAA, Zach.
But and I know, you know, you're really hands-on with the customers, and you know, I've seen you all day today. People coming in and out asking, Bill, help me with this. Bill, help me with this. But if someone were to come in, is there an expectation as far as what it takes to go from the start of the process to a finished stock? Is there? I know obviously it's how busy you are with orders and stuff, but is there an estimated amount of time that it takes to start this process?
You mean as far as getting it to the final product?
Correct.
You know, right now, and that varies, obviously, with the amount of work we've got in the shop too that's going through. But right now, we're probably about a 16-week turnaround time.
Okay.
And we're trying to get that, you know, lessened a little bit more.
Yep.
But and we've got new help that's working with us and everything like that, and they're coming along real great actually. So I'm real pleased with where they're at.
And that's wonderful. And this might be a Bill and Ricky question, but if someone was gonna do a Bondo stock and start shooting it, is there an amount of time that you see people shoot those before they go to wood? I mean, is it a preference thing?
I think
or-
it is a preference.
It's
I've seen.
It's definitely a preference
Yeah.
thing. I mean, we definitely don't want somebody out there shooting it for years before
Yeah.
they come back and do it. Which
Exactly.
we've had a couple of people, you know, that have done that. But you know, we'd prefer to get them back, you know, in a timely fashion because,
Yep.
you know, just for the fact we'd like to get it to the cut, you know, get them into a new piece of wood.
Make it look good.
And you know,
Yeah.
get them into a new piece of wood, but you can also overthink of what you're shooting too. Sometimes you can really get into too much detail. You could when you're thinking about every aspect of it, you can start getting to where you overthink some things sometimes.
I know all
when
about
you're
that.
doing your fitting.
You?
I'm an
Overthinking?
overthinker. I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
Ricky's natural talent. I'm over here thinking about every little cog
Whatever.
on the wheel.
Yeah.
I saw it in the prelims.
It happens.
You overthought on the last post a couple times.
It happens.
We're gonna have to work on that, Zach.
I need some coaching, Ricky. RM shooting clinics. I need some help.
Yeah, no, I agree with Bill on that. Is I've seen a lot of my students that have done them, and I've told them, I said, let's shoot it, let's see how it is, and if it's good, let's get it done. Don't get into maybe it's a little. That's you. Then you're overthinking it.
Absolutely, you start
So,
overthinking
yeah.
some of the stuff too.
Get it in, get it out, get the wood on.
Now, is there an opinion that you have once you've done the custom stock? Are you recommending a custom or a cut comb in the stocks when you do them, or a butt plate, or is it like
really not a butt plate. A butt
No.
plate is real simple to add to a stock if they want to down the road. Now, as far as the adjustable comb goes, that varies. I mean, because it can be put in, but it's a little
Yeah.
more costly to put in later down the road. The other thing too is, do you have an adjustable rib versus a fixed rib?
Yeah.
You know, without the adjustable comb, the fixed rib really doesn't do you any good. You've got to have the two to work together to make it work.
correct? So I mean, being like for me and myself, Rick, adjustable rib guns. You know, we might lose or gain weight. Probably.
I
you know.
always have an adjustable comb put in my stocks. Number one reason, if you lose a little bit of weight or gain a little bit of weight, you need to tweak it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the other aspect exactly, Ricky. Is if you're the type of person that you feel like you lose and gain weight over a year's time,
Yeah.
you know, summer versus winter or whatever, then yeah, you'd probably want to do an adjustable comb where you can do those fine tweaks. If you're the type of person with a fixed rib that doesn't have any, you know, you never change weight, whatever, then
Yeah.
I'd say you don't have to.
Well,
It
we
saves
change
you a
weight a
little bit
little
of
bit.
money, you know.
Yeah, I try to lose a little bit. That's what I'm hoping to do. But
We've been trying to lose for the last 10 years. It's been losing on the
You've been
losing.
eating your way to AAA.
Hey, I'm doing good. I feel good. But you know, that's great information for the listeners.
Yeah.
I feel like that gives them a good step-by-step process of okay,
Right.
we come in, we meet Bill.
Yep.
We start here. We're shooting the gun. We're getting a feel
Well,
of
you
it.
start with looking at their old gun, see how that fits, and then they go with the basically pattern stock, get all that fitted up. Once you get that all finalized, then go out and shoot.
Right.
Pattern board, yep, we're straight here, we're good. feels good, pitch, everything. Take her back in. If you need a comb cut, most of the time in the pattern stocks they don't have combs cut in them.
No, most
so
generally not.
don't want to do. That's a costly deal too. But just it's fitted. Once you get it though, the new stock, you have a adjustable comb put in it, and then
Yeah.
boom, you're golden.
I think that's important. I think people are changing. I mean, various,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're younger. I mean,
Yep.
in any way, shape, or form. But just being able to get it to where you're not canning it too much this way or that way, your head's up. And for me right now, the biggest thing I'm working on, going from the ACS to the Trap Special,
Yep.
is my head's up now. So,
Yep.
like, I really shot, and Bill's been working with me on how I'm mounting the gun, but I really shot down and in on that ACS for a long time, and now with this higher rib,
You're still trying to do it with this though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still working. it
He
out.
stood right next to me in the prelims.
Yeah, but I think that's why I'm going to this next stock, because
yep.
it's getting the gun up
It is just
higher.
going to take. It always take. Everybody thinks they can just grab it and go out, boom. Now some it does, but it takes practice.
It takes
practice mounting the gun in front of a mirror.
Right.
That's what I tell all my students. Right in front of that mirror.
Because if
get
you're
that
the
mount
person
good.
that's never had a custom fitting, or even
Yep.
if you have had it, but
Yep.
you develop muscle memory.
Yep.
So to get that out, you've got to, like Ricky said, mount in front of a mirror is one of the best ways.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily going out and shooting the
No.
targets.
Yep.
Mount in front of a mirror and get used to, because you've got to retrain your body to fit this new stock, because there's a
hearing
lot
this?
of times you get
I'm
out
listening. I'm taking notes.
onto the trap line and the old habits kick in. You
Yep.
don't realize it a lot of times. So
And the
gotta
more
build
you've
new
shot, the
muscle
harder
memory.
it is to shake that. You know,
Yeah.
because I've
Yeah.
I've got probably 125,000 rounds on that stock that I've shot at this point, and it's like, okay, this feels like home. Now I'm going to a new home, and it feels good.
It just takes a little bit.
It's just a different. It's an
Yeah.
acclimation period, and I would say if you've shot longer with stocks that aren't right, it's going to take a second to get used to doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But once you start doing it the right way, your eyes are level, your head's up. I mean, scores can only go one direction if
Absolutely.
if you're doing it fundamentally properly.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah. And the other,
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Today's episode is brought to you by Wenig Custom Gun Stocks.
That being said, a custom gun stock is going to elevate your game because you get the same fit every single time.
And I can attest to that. I broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hundreds with my Wenig Custom Gun Stock.
I haven't broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, Rick, but I did break 100 from the 27 within 7 days of getting my stock, and broke 2 more that year and loved it.
Here, this is.
Okay, do you take it or me?
We'd like to thank Wenig Custom Gun Stocks for supporting Trap Talk.
That being said, everyone knows.
Winners shoot Wenig.
Are we doing the end part?
going back to the deal where you were talking about going to a higher rib too, sometimes that changes your length of pull, because now your head's more up. You're not into the gun, so we may shorten it a little bit.
Remember we tried that once before?
Too
And
short
you-
last time.
Yeah.
I was
That was you.
I was full believer, and I said go, and I said oh no.
Yeah.
So now we're in between, and Bill's got me in a happy spot, but that's why we're in Bondo.
Well,
'cause we're moving it.
It's just going to take you a little bit to do, you
And
know.
then another deal is shooting different sports. With Ricky,
Yep.
we trap guns a little longer.
Yep.
He doesn't have to do as much moving. When we built his sporting clay stock, we went shorter because there's a lot of real movements.
Yep.
More
As you
targets.
saw my sporting
You know.
gun, I cut. It's
I know.
my
About
sporting's a
an inch
15.
shorter?
It's 15, and my trap gun's 16 inches.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for you, and this is a good question for you, Rick, the length slows it down, smooths it out.
Well, I get into the gun and I kind of shoot across my body, so that I need that longer length to pull. Otherwise, if I'm short, I'm more like compact. So what happens when you're compact? You tend to arm shoot.
I see.
Because then you're trying to throw the gun. Where me, it just works. I'm in that gun and I just move smooth.
You're definitely locked in.
And then
Yeah.
also with you, Ricky, too, you probably got a certain position you stand at the trap house when you're shooting sporting clays.
Yeah, it's all
You've got
over.
a target coming from this way and a target coming from the
Yep.
other direction. So now you can't stand this way
No.
for this target, and then I want to move
Move
over
over,
this
yeah.
way to get this.
It's
No,
hard
'cause
to
the
do that
target's
when you're
already-
walking
the
with your
target-
feet.
The target's already coming out and moving across. So
Exactly.
You can't do that. So a
Yep.
lot of times you got to have that shorter stock
Yeah.
to be able to move that gun more.
Yep. No, exactly. That is correct.
Well, Bill, is there anything else that you think we need to
That we're
tell the
missing?
listeners, or is there anything that we're? I mean,
Well,
quality of wood. I mean, anything
I mean,
like
there, you got
yeah.
you start at just standard.
standard grade is
Fit-
real plain.
Yep.
You know, doesn't have any figure in it at all, you know, and you can work your way up to the one-of-a-kind pieces we have here, top of the line. And that all just depends on what you really want too. I
There's a
mean,
nice piece of wood right there.
it's got to be a tool first. It's got to
gotta
work
work.
first,
Yeah.
and then you can do whatever you want from there.
Yeah.
I like pretty though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, what, life's too short to shoot an ugly gun. Who said
That is true. That is true.
So we gotta have it look good.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, that's just me. But if you could choose between looking good and fitting, I would choose fitting.
Fitting first.
Fitting
by
all day
far.
long.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to break score. I don't care what stock looks like.
Well, your stock
Exactly.
looks pretty nice.
Well, it
Ricky.
does. Mine dad do have a nice piece of wood.
But I don't know if I like the way that came out, but we'll roll with it.
That's right.
Is there anything else, Bill? Is there anything that we didn't ask today, or is there anything that would be helpful?
Well, pitch.
Yeah.
Pitch is another thing that you got to be sure
We
that
talked
you got the
very briefly on it.
right pitch in the stock too, because you can put too much pitch and get this kind of the same effect as you having not enough pitch. I
Yep.
mean, you can still have the gun. Basically, what you wind up with is a pivot point on that pad, as opposed to where it can still move, as opposed to just riding straight back.
Yeah,
So
because
you
your
wanna
pitch
be
is the
sure-
back, the angle of your stock.
Yeah.
And if it's not right,
Exactly.
that's you get the gun bouncing
You
up,
get the
popping you in the
bouncing.
face, or you get the gun dropping. I mean, it just and
does all kinds.
everybody is totally
Everybody's
different.
different.
So
Everybody's
for
different.
everyone that hasn't heard at all about pitch, and a zero pitch would mean completely level up and down, correct? Zero
exactly.
pitch.
A 90-degree off the rip.
Yeah.
So if we say it has a down pitch, then the top of the pad is this way.
Let's see. You'd have actually that'd be positive. What
Positive.
we call positive pitch.
Positive pitch.
Positive.
Then
So when the
negative
barrel,
pitch.
when you mount the gun and the barrel's pushing down pitch. When the barrel's pushing up pitch. Correct.
Yeah, I guess that would be a way to say it. But yeah, it'd be as if you stud it next to a wall. So if the barrel's pushing towards the wall,
Up pitch.
the rib,
Yeah.
that'd be the positive pitch, and
Yep.
if it's pushing away from the wall, then that's your
Negative.
negative
Down pitch. And that's
Down
going to
pitch.
change for people's curvature of their body.
It depends on your shoulder. Like for me, I mean, the way I get into a gun, most of the time,
Down pitch.
they think, oh, well, the regular pitch should be fine. But the way I get in, it needs to be a different pitch.
I
Yeah.
would think
So-
with the top up, you would need more down pitch.
But the
because
way I roll over into
roll-
a gun,
yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
you never know.
I say everybody's different.
I'm learning all this stuff, so I'm a
That's
newbie.
why
I'm just-
winners shoot Wenig.
yeah, you come see Bill. The moral of the story: come see Bill. He's going to show you what to do. I don't know what I'm talking about, but Ricky does a little bit, and Bill knows everything. So,
Well, I don't know about everything, but
well, I mean, I've learned a lot just talking with you today and
Right.
going through this process. And I remember going through it back when I was 18, and now I'm going through it at 32, and it's just like, oh, I remember doing this, and I remember all the little things and what you have to look
The
for. and how you-
feel, the
yeah.
grip. Like Bill said earlier, the grip. That's my most important thing is where you're holding that gun. If it's not holding right, you're not going to break targets.
Now for that, do you have a preference of where you want that hand position for people?
well, we really
Just
try
like
to look for it to be more. Try not to
Level.
get the hand too
Yeah,
twisted.
you're
the
not.
wrist.
You don't want twisted. You want more
You want
straight, pulling
more
straight,
straight,
back.
and that all depends too to where they hold their elbows and stuff like that too. The other thing too is size. You want to be sure it's the right size. You don't want something
Your
too
hands are a
Big
little bigger
hands.
than mine.
Little
You don't want
hands.
something that's too big and feels like it's pushing your hand away, because now you
Yeah.
can't hang on to it. The other thing as well is you don't want it too small where you can't hold it and the gun's sliding and you're getting all the recoil here. You want it-
Absolutely.
Because this is a point where recoil is stopped.
Exactly.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. People don't realize how much recoil is taken right
With
here.
your hand.
With
Absolutely.
Your hand. To not necessarily taken in the hand, but to reduce it by having control of the gun.
Control of the gun.
Have
You're
control.
driving it from there. It's reducing the recoil. It's not
Driving
slapping back.
with that
Exactly.
backhand. That is
Yep.
correct.
Well, I think this was an awesome episode, Bill.
absolutely.
I appreciate it. We obviously want to thank our sponsors, number one being Wenig. So thank
Yeah.
you guys for supporting us from day one. We also have Remington, Shot Tracker, RM Shooting Clinics, and if you need a financial advisor, Zach Nini at your service. So
We really
it's been
appreciate
real
you
fun.
taking the time out of your schedule here
Yeah.
today doing the fittings and
I'm
stuff.
glad
So
to do it.